Welcome to Dancing Through It with your host, Leslie Cooney, the podcast where we share honest conversations about passion, perseverance, and the power of movement. My guest today is Austin Crumley. I have to say, I am so excited. Today, I'm going to fangirl very hard, and I'm really going to try to keep it together because I feel like this is like a huge get for me. We have today on the Dancing Through It pod, the incredible, if you're not following him already on Instagram, I'm not going to say pause and go do that right now, but maybe you should. Austin Crumley, who I've been following you for a hot minute, and just everything you post resonated with me so hard as a dance educator. I was like, let me just cold DM him and see if he's even remotely interested in chatting with me. And you were so kind and so lovely. Be like, yeah, I'd love to. And I was like, like cry a little bit. I got so excited. So I feel very lucky that you are here and really honored. And I'm very excited about the conversation we're going to have today.
Oh, good. I mean, I don't see myself as like any public figure or anything like that. I'm just a dude that like feels there's change that has to happen, and I have the tools and the passion and the craziness to do it, and to help lead others to do the same thing and try to do all of that. So of course I'm always happy to make friends and make community and continue to push so that everybody feels stronger and more equipped to do the same thing, because we can't do it alone.
Yeah,
We all have to, we have our strengths and we have our areas of growth. So we have, there's things that I'm not good at, and I have to rely on my community to do things.
right.
So I'm happy to be here and happy to have the conversation, and it's a real joy. I'm happy that I have the time to do it. Summertime's
Me
great.
too. So maybe we'll kick it off by, I know literally like every dancer's worst nightmare. It's sort of like give us your little mini
Totally.
synopsis of your of your journey. Like, did you start at 3 and you just ended up doing it forever, or like what did it look like getting to here?
Yeah. I may have like a different story than everybody else does, and I'll keep like, a good kind of crash course little dealio with it, because I can go on and talk about things. So you just let me know if I'm on tangents and we're like, oh, come on, bring it back.
I got
So
you.
we're
I got you.
but no, I actually did not start at 3 years old. I did performing arts with my brother pretty much my whole life, and I also did baseball all my life. So I did like 10 years of baseball prior to doing ballet. And yeah, and and then it wasn't until my freshman year, eighth grade year, a family friend of ours, she said, "Hey, we need some boys for the Nutcracker. Would you guys just come in and be like, stand in there and do your thing?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's fine." And like we performed, like we did musical theater, we did plays, we did all those things. So my brother and I were like, "Yeah, that's fine. Let's just go do it." And then we like after we watched them, we like stayed after for second act, and we're watching, and we're like, "This is pretty cool." But even then, it was like I didn't want to do it because there's a whole stigma, and like I was
Yeah,
doing baseball, and what if the guys in baseball found out that I was doing ballet, and there was this whole thing. So
right.
I ended up doing it, and my mom was like, "Come on, just give it a shot. You can do it as like cross training, and it'll help with your baseball." So I know my mom's smart. And so then I was like, okay, fine, I'm gonna do it, but I'm not telling anybody. And she's like, okay, whatever. So I did it, and literally it was like the first cramp in the tendu that I was like, this is fantastic. I don't know what this is, but I'm here for it. And like I was like so happy to be a part of it, and like everything about ballet just clicked for me. The organization of it, the like system of it, the this like I don't know, the sheer artistry behind it, like looking around and be like, how do these girls do this? And then like being so stiff, and it was just like such a phenomenal experience to have done that. And that was my freshman year of high school. So I started ballet at 15, and then I just felt like I fell in love with it and started kind of taking a little bit more classes, and I was like, this is something I really want to do. And well, not really, I didn't have that conclusion at that point, but I was like, this is great. I think this is phenomenal.
Right.
And so I just kind of went into it. And my at the end of freshman year, I got cut from the baseball team at high school. And so I was just kind of like identity crisis, like what on earth am I going to do? I thought I
100%.
was going to do that for my life, and what else is it ready for me? So I decided to kind of just go full force into dance and just forget about everything else and, just continue doing what I loved and perform. And it wasn't until I was like 17 or so, or like around maybe like junior year, that I really felt called to be a part of the industry and like that I needed to pursue it. And it was at that moment that I just decided, you know what, if I'm going to do this, then I need to really hone in and niche down and figure out what it is that I want to do with dance because I started so late. So I wanted to be a professional ballet dancer. One of the main things that I saw was I remember watching. There used to be this program, like a TV channel that my brother and I would watch, and they would host this really fun thing, and it was called the Battle of the Nutcrackers. And Eric and I, that's my brother's name. Eric and I would always just like we would choose which one we liked, and like he would choose Matthew Bourne's version, and I would choose the Royal Ballet version almost every time. And I still do. Like I'm just like I love the Royal, so let's go. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just go full force into this and just try and do a ballet class every single day and like if multiple, if not, like take the level that I'm at, but then like push myself and take a higher level. And I still did my cross training that I learned from baseball and started incorporating like exercise science and still did my cross training. So that was kind of like the basis of my or foundations of my training and how I was able to catch up really quickly was because I didn't just do dance. I actually incorporated a lot of exercise science and cross training. So it was then after that that guest artist came from Oklahoma City Ballet, who originally went to the University of Oklahoma, and he was like, "Hey, you should definitely check out OU." And I was like, "Okay, cool. Well, this is something I want to do." So I ended up pursuing higher education.
Nice.
Well, one because I needed it, but two as like kind of a backup plan. Like, well,
Yeah.
I want to get a bachelor's and
Yeah.
have something to rely on.
Totally.
So that I'll skip over all the juicy details with that, but I ended up choosing OU, which at the time it was top five school in the nation for ballet. Which for listeners, I actually didn't get into the university because I was a poor student, but the school really liked me, and so the School of Dance. So they made an exception, and I was able to kind of sneak my way in, even though academically I wasn't inclined.
It's such a weird thing to go to post-secondary for an artistic pursuit because like you make such a good point about like grade wise couldn't have got in, talent wise do get in, and there's this like fighting because I also have a BFA and so did post secondary and it's like although I'm not bragging or throwing shade, but like academically I also could have got in, it was fine. But it was just what I chose to do. Not
Hey, don't worry about it.
with the exception of math. But it's so interesting that that is like that happens in the same way. And I shouldn't actually maybe be surprised because in the same way where like someone's really good at sports
Yeah,
and they want to get in for that a team, but maybe the grades aren't there, they'll kind of like make it happen. How did you
yeah.
find post-secondary dance training?
Oh, I mean, I loved it. I at first it was like when they leveled me or like they placed me, I actually didn't like get placed with the people who were majoring in it. I had to take non-major classes because I had to
Right,
catch up bad.
right,
But honestly, it was exactly what I needed, and it was um, the training that was necessary for me to be able to progress. I mean, I got training from someone who originally was like the mentee of one of the original Ballet Russe members. And so like I got a rich history passed down straight
yeah,
down to me, and then now I get to pass it down to my students. And
yeah,
it's such a cool thing because she like brought in all that knowledge and like they brought in like some of the best. Like I had former Boston ballet dancers, I had a former Houston ballet soloist and like trained at Vaganova, like really amazing training. Um, and not only that, but while I was at OU, I really had this kind of like they have the flexibility to do what you wanted to do, and
right,
as college does, And so I was able to kind of pursue other things that I really enjoyed. One of the things was dance science, and even though I didn't do quite a lot of like actual scientific things, I really dove into like anatomy, dance anatomy, and physical therapy route, and
yeah,
seeing what kind of like would come from there. And that was actually my pursuit. I was like, that's what I'm going to do after I'm done dancing professionally. And
right.
that's what I would love to get into. And all that fun stuff. So it was there that I just kind of like I had a goal in mind. We had Nutcracker. They only did it every 4 years. And so I had a goal in mind with like, at the end of my years here, my senior year, I want to get Sugar Plum Cavalier and I want to do that. Like that's my goal.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like a haughty like goal because I had to go from a non-major dance class as my freshman and then get all the way
Yeah,
up to
yeah.
show and prove that I could do such a role.
Right.
And I ended up getting it and I ended up doing it. And it was awesome because it was, I gotta give credit to like my mom and then my wife now. She and I were together during the time. So my wife now, my mom, and like all these other big amazing people in my life who just really poured in and were like, just set some goals,
Yeah.
do things periodically and progressively to get up to the point where you need to get to and you'll get it and like just have faith, move forward, trust and just get it done. And I did. And it was just kind of like, there were a bunch of setbacks and many moments of depression and feeling like I wasn't good enough and imposter syndrome and so many other things that come into play, especially with traditional ballet, that just really caused me to just have craziness and not even to mention going out of state to Oklahoma from Southern California to
Right.
like, and so like all these cultural shock differences and stuff like that. So it was a crazy time, but it really
Yeah.
molded who I am and it really made me become a very independent person and rely upon myself for a bunch of different things. And it was after that that I was able to get a job with Sacramento Ballet and I danced there for 2 seasons. And kind of like, to make a long story short, my wife and I kind of had a conversation of like, where are we going with this? What do we want to do? And
Right.
what's happening? And we came to the conclusion of like, the things that I want to do and the things that I want to help transform for the industry can't be done within like while I'm performing. I have to step out. I have to take some kind of admin or leadership or whatever position if I am to do anything and like pass on my ideas that I think are going to be, I don't know, transformational, spark a wildfire or something like that.
Yeah.
And so it was at that moment that we just decided that's what we're going to have to do. And
Right.
so I stopped dancing professionally and I did a lot of amazing roles. I was very blessed and lucky and privileged too to be able to do those roles. But and that was another main reason of leaving. But after that, I got a job where I'm currently working, and I've been there for I think this is going to be my eighth
Oh my
year. So
goodness.
yeah, it's pretty awesome that I've been at CSR. It's called California School of the Arts, San Gabriel Valley, and I started off with many different roles. Like I did elective ballet, and it's at an arts high school. So
Okay.
taught elective ballet, and then I went over to conservatory at the end of the day. And it's like the kids are there from 8:30 to like 5, and sometimes they're there for night rehearsals till
Right.
9. So it's like it's crazy. It's like fame.
I was gonna
So
say, I'm like, they're in fame. That's so
yeah,
fun.
they are in fame. The school that I work for is like it is literally the best school I've ever seen, and like it's so cool to work there. And now I teach academically. I teach biology as well as I teach conservatory. So yeah, I have a day job.
That's
So
wild.
this will
So
be
cool.
my fourth year. God, I can't even remember. Third year,
Yeah.
fourth year.
It all
I think it's my
starts to
fourth year.
melt together in the brain
It
once
really
you get
does.
it does. I want to circle back to I just as someone who didn't have a professional performing career, and that was always something that I had hoped for, but didn't really know how to do, and nobody really, nobody quote unquote saw me to go like, I'm going to put you in a thing. But then to make the decision to leave leave having a performing career, which I know for so many artists, like that is such a difficult one choice, and then two transition, and to say I'm gonna and maybe if I'm putting words in your mouth, please tell me tell me like no,
Probably
that's not it
correct.
at
Go
all.
ahead.
But like you recognizing like what you wanted to do and how you wanted to train or assist or coach the next generation, recognizing that I have to do this, I have to make this transition in order for that to happen. What was the thought process? And like, was there like an emotional, like, what did that look like? Because I can't imagine it was easy, even though it was something that you were very, very interested in doing and like very obviously we'll get into like how that's your whole thing and I'm so obsessed with it. But can you tell us a little bit more about that process if you feel comfortable and like
Oh yeah.
how you came to that
Yeah.
decision?
Yeah, I'm an open book. So like pretty much everything that I'm a human and I think other humans have to hear other human stories. And so if there's ever anything that someone can relate to, I want to try and give that to somebody. So yeah, it was one of the harder decisions that I probably could have made.
Sure.
And like you have to consider if you've never had something like that where you've poured so much of your heart, your mind, your blood, your sweat, your tears, like all this into performing and getting your body ready and going off of on like moments of layoffs and still working even though you're not getting paid and like just so that you can get back onto that stage again and do the thing and sometimes going without a meal because you don't have money to be able to do the thing that you want to do. Like it sounds crazy, but only people who really understand and like want to do this will understand how much it's a part of us, you know? Um, but you know, it's especially as a late starter, they were the first thought that came to my mind when the decision came along of like, hey, we're gonna stop dancing professionally was, but you work so hard. And it was just like, yeah, you did. Like you did, you know, I'm proud of you, but you still worked so hard for 2 years. Like you're only going to dance for 2 years. And like I danced professionally, like technically speaking, we had a professional company at OU and I did many roles there too. And so like technically the experience is like about 6 years, but being with a professional company and actually getting paid was two.
Right.
So there was that thought in my mind of like, okay, but also if you're going to go get a teaching job, every teacher in the world comes from a rich background of performing. So what are you going to do? You only have 2 years under your belt. No one's going to hire you.
Right.
And it was just this very like leap of faith moment of, well, I mean, I know what I have to do. I know what I got to do for my health. And that's another thing too, is I realized that a lot of the traditional ballet world and culture and industry had a huge effect on who I was and what I was doing and why I was doing it. I never thought that I would find myself bashing another human being inside of the company, but I did. I never thought I would find myself kind of manipulating situations so that I could not get a role, but manipulating it so that I would like insert myself into a situation and be like, aha, here I am, you know? But I
Mhm.
did. And like there's moments where they're like in hindsight, I look back, and even when I was looking at that, there was always that like inner me that was like, this isn't right, you know, this is not you. And like that inner like Jiminy Cricket going like, hey, buddy, this isn't the right way. And but in hindsight, you know, I look back at that and like poor Austin was just in survival mode. Like he was just trying to do what he set out to do and what he worked so hard to get. And there were many obstacles in the way that didn't allow him to be able to do it in a manner that would have been justified or would have been kind or would have been, you know, less demeaning to a human being. But I had to do what I had to do because I was in survival mode. I wasn't getting paid enough. I wasn't eating enough. I wasn't getting the proper recovery, you know? And there's all those things. And I was dealing with people who were also doing the same thing back to me. So it's hard to be kind or to be a light and like not to be not to make excuses or whatnot, but maybe if this resonates with somebody out there, it is hard to be a light, to be kind, and to be that person in a world that is constantly demeaning and demising and pushing down on you and oppressing. And that's why it's so hard oftentimes for people who are oppressed to rise out of
Yeah.
that level of oppression and go through it. So it's kind of you know, it's maybe there's like that moment of feeling that collective community thing there of like, ah, I'm feeling that. And I'm like, well, you're not alone. I guarantee you other people are feeling that same thing too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I left ultimately. The first reason was because of my health and because it was changing me. And my wife was one of the first people to recognize that.
Mm.
And she was like, "Hey, this is not who you are. We need to reconsider what's happening and all that fun stuff." And she's remarkable for that, and I love her to this day for that. Um, but yeah, she kind of sparked that, and then it really just kind of came to the conclusion of like, damn, she's right, and I want also to do these things, to change, to have
Yeah.
transformation. And I can't do it at my current level. I have to heal. So it really was like after making that decision, it was like 2 years of healing that before I actually came to, I would even argue to say more, like 3 years, 3+ years of healing. Because soon after that, the pandemic hit, and then it was like,
I'm like, oh
it was
yeah.
like, you know, who am I? What is this identity thing? And yeah, a bunch of other things kind of hit the fan. But, it was a remarkable moment of like, you go through those hard times oftentimes, and you go under pressure and you go in the darkness and all that because oftentimes that's when good things are made. A diamond is
Yeah.
not made because it's already that. It's
Yeah.
literally cold and it
Yeah.
has to undergo pressure and
Yeah.
constant layers of rock and time before it can become something that we find valuable. So it's kind of like a interesting thing there.
I oh man. You got like I'm sorry. I'm just listening to you and I'm like I'm so obsessed. I'm like everyone's going to walk away. I don't know. I'm walking away from this. I'm like, "Oh, if you didn't already have a crush on Austin and we're like so into like everything that he does." I'm like after you listen to him, you're just it's so clear how passionate you are and like I I'm just listening and also recognizing that this story of like of being in places that we desperately wanted to be in as artists and performers, like we work so hard for it and then we get the thing and you get into it and it starts to feel a little bit like sandpaper against your values and against who you truly are, and like you said, you might start doing things that don't feel super aligned with who you are or like who you think you are, who you believe yourself to be. But again, because of the culture that's been created and the system and trying to get to the top. So I'm just like, man, it's so lovely to hear. I'm sorry, like I don't mean to say it's lovely to hear that, but I think a lot of people will resonate with that. And it really sounds like you chose that transition just because there wasn't alignment and you really recognized it. And also for your wife as a sounding board is like it's really nice to have that person. And I don't know, is she also in the dance world or not at all?
So funny story, she and I met dancing. She Before I left college, she was my Clara and I was her Nutcracker.
Get
So yeah,
out, you guys, this is too much.
yeah, we have a sappy story. It's really fun.
Oh, I love a sappy story. Okay. Well, that's incredible. And also to have somebody who's also within that world to say to support you in that is huge. That's incredible. So now we're going to jump ahead to what I like absolutely adore about everything that you put out on social media. And I just feel like snapping and high-fiving like everything you post. I want everyone to know about it because your whole I don't know, mantra deal is I love the term re-education. And you're so passionate about creating, and these are not, but if again, please correct me if I'm wrong, but like you do not see the terms authenticity, inclusion, human first, human led, science backed. Like those are not buzzwords for you. You are not using those to gain followers or like any of that. That is truly like your passion and how you approach each and every class. And you can tell that that is where your heart is and how you present class. So I'm just going to let you, because obviously that's a bit of a challenge and an uphill struggle as well because of just the history of ballet and dance, and this is how it's always been, and yes, there's a culture shift, but sometimes dance always feels a little bit slow or behind or
Yeah.
clinging to tradition. Yeah, maybe explain to us about how you approach class and sort of your methodology and why and how you came to this ballet reeducation, um like really for the 21st century
Yeah.
model. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was kind of like a long thing in the making, but um, I kind of it was when I was dancing professionally that I had my best friend. His name's Jonathan, He actually just got promoted to principal at Ballet Idaho, which is, yeah, let's go, buddy. But he and I would have these conversations just back and forth about like, this is not right. There's some things here that should be changed. How would we do it differently? And we would just bounce off of each other, and like we're such enablers with each other that we would just like, um, bounce ideas. Like I don't know if you're familiar with this. I forget what it's called now, but there's this like business model thing, testing thing where it tells you what kind of personality you are and like how you can work with one another.
Okay.
So like I wonder, and I am an enabler. And so, which is
Ooh.
makes a lot of sense with what I do. I always ask questions. I'm always
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
but can it be better? And like, can we do this instead of that? And so he and I were actually the same person. So he's a wanderer and enabler, and I am as well. So we just kept bouncing ideas off of each other and like, shooting it out and whatever. And it wasn't until the pandemic that he was just like he came over um and because he got laid off, and so he came over to our place and stayed with us for like for a long time, and just like we chilled as besties. And he we just talked one day, and he was like, you know what, you should get this on social media, you should put it out there, like just what is it gonna hurt? And I'm like, you know what, you're right, let's do it. And so then I started doing it, and then I started making friends, and I started building community. And I'm a very big, I love dance medicine and dance science, and just evidence-based stuff, and incorporating it into my teaching. And so from there, like I just made many, many friends in the dance medicine community, dance science community, PTs, physiotherapists, like all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and just kept pushing ideas out and learning as I went, and realizing I made a mistake, and then pushing, and then making it better and stuff like that. But it was really just kind of just like pouring my heart into it, and like this is what I think could be different about all of this, and putting it to practice in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I would practice it at my work, with the students that I had, and literally, like I'll post sometimes and I'll say like, this is how I used to teach too, and like this I believe that it needed to be like a person in front of the room that had to be, this is what I'm saying because I got it from my person, and they were obviously right, and like that's the way that we experience ballet and dance in
Uh,
general. And like in my posts, I say like, but I realize XYZ, and like it follows a typical like marketing type of thing, but like it is actually very true. Like
yeah.
I did do that. I
Yeah.
did stand in front of the room and expect my students to listen intently. And if they didn't get it, well, like tough cookie, that's on you. But even in those moments, I was like, this is not right. Something that doesn't feel quite right. Like she doesn't deserve that. And and then I'd break from the scheme and just go and like help that student, and like move on from it. Um, and now it's just I have a master's in education, and learning from that experience too, and gaining that high level of education and incorporating it into the classroom, both academically, but then seeing like this could work in a ballet classroom. It needs to be translated, like it doesn't quite work
Right.
fully, but
Right.
let me take this and let me go put it over here and see how it works. And so the first year I did that was literally the first year I taught academically. I like translated it over, tried it in my ballet classroom, and I'm like, damn, it did work. Okay, cool. What's the next thing that can work? And then I just like kept applying and kept applying, and I was like, wait a second, this is like it's the same thing. A classroom is a classroom, no matter what you're doing. And like maybe one, yeah, you're moving physically, but and then the other one, you're doing conceptual understanding with like biology, for example, or
Right.
math. But at the end of the day, and something that is being researched in education is applicable to any realm because it's learning.
Yeah.
You're learning to do something. And in learning, there are ways that have been proven that people at various age levels are going to incorporate things, or they're going to need specific things, or
Right.
you need to teach it in a certain way in order to then get their buy-in or to be able to XYZ.
Yes.
So it was in those moments that I was just like experimenting and testing and questioning and just really just making things work. And like I was very obvious with the students too, like, hey, if this doesn't feel quite right, that's okay. I'm experimenting, and so
Yeah.
just give me some feedback. And they did, and we had such a great relationship because of that. But, it wasn't until this last year that I really started to like mold things and just feel that like this is working and
Right.
this is obviously something that can be utilized in the ballet classroom. And then I just made it so that like, well, hopefully I made it so that my audience feels like they're seen too and like, yeah, no, like I can see that working in my classroom, you know? So, yeah, so I really believe that ballet education is, I love the traditional method. I like, I mean, obviously I made it, and with my mindset and the way in which that I like perceived ballet and the education behind it, I made it out alive, sort of, and kind of worked through the things that I need
Caveat.
to.
Yeah.
But I realized that like that is great, but it can be better. Just like
Yeah.
everything, you
Yeah.
know, what we learned from our parents was great, but it could be better.
Right.
But we can build on it and we
Right.
can go and teach something. We can do more for our kids when
Yeah.
if we have kids.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like what I'm doing with my stuff is what's evidence-based, research informed, and how can I apply that into our classroom? And there is actually quite a bit of research with dance education and and dance related things. So applying those two in my classroom and trying to figure out things that kind of I can take and be like, hey, y'all, this works. And if it doesn't for your classroom, then let me know so I can learn and then I can pass it on too.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, very large tangents there, but I think it kind of like generally
It's
answered
no,
the
it's
question.
so I just like I could talk about this all day because I it really sounds like you started to treat, and this is something that I will say, I've started saying to my dancers is the studio or the classroom has become a lab. The studio's not where we're like aiming for perfection or anything performance based, really, especially depending on what your season looks like. But it really sounds like you created that space of like we're all in this together. We're all going to experiment. We're going to figure out sort of like we're going to test. You're literally testing ideas and thoughts to see like what comes to the surface and what works best. And if I this is so loaded and I probably already know the answer, but I'm gonna ask, it's kind of been my thing. I'm like, I'm gonna ask this loaded question because I can. Um, well, I guess I don't know, maybe no. This will be a fine. Okay, so the hamster just went for a second. It sounds like to me that once you started working in a way where you, with that human first and science backed methodology of teaching, would it be fair to say that the results you got from your students changed? And like, what did their growth look like, and what did their quote unquote perceived success look like? Because I know once I sort of like made that switch, my students changed and grew and learned. So I'm curious to know if by adjusting that methodology, from like being at the front and like all the things we're supposed to do, what did that look like in terms of your students' growth and also mindset, maybe?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's all connected. Um, it's kind of hard from a educational standpoint or like a research standpoint, it is very hard to make comparisons because it's mostly qualitative data that you're kind of gathering from it all.
Right.
Like I won't be that nerdy in all of this. I would love to be, but at the end of the day, it's very hard to draw scientific conclusions about whether this variable worked or that variable worked because
Right.
there are a ton of variables that you cannot control in a classroom that is filled with humans, you
Yeah.
know? There's like maybe Sally had just had a really rough night, like parents argued all night long, and so she's coming in with an emotional baggage. Or
Yeah.
maybe Johnny is coming in because something traumatic happened and they don't want to talk about it, and then they're not going to get anything from the class because
Right.
they're just thinking about that one thing.
Yeah.
Or maybe Susan over here did not get it. What are with all these names? Susan over here is, didn't get a lot of sleep last night because they had a test that they had to study for,
Right.
but the teacher at the front of the room doesn't care. This is ballet. Study for your test later. It doesn't matter. You're in ballet now. Shut up. Like that's something that these kids are constantly going through. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you knew the answer right away, but like there is an immense difference between teaching the traditional way, which is teacher centered, you're at the front of the room, you're giving off the combinations, giving kind of like sleight of hand, just very like, oh yes, pull up corrections and like, things like that. It was just like But instead, when you give a human-centered approach or you give a student-centered class, it's less about you being in the front of the room and you being in the mix with them. And
Yeah.
like even the traditional instruction would say like make sure you're walking around the room and that you're seeing the students and that you're creating a presence and stuff. But I would argue to say that like yes, yes, that's great. But what are you doing while you're walking around the room? Because if you walk around the room and you're not saying anything or you're not giving a gentle demeanor or anything, yeah, exactly. The students are going to be like, oh,
Totally. Yeah,
don't
yeah.
call me, and like, so what I really enjoy doing, and it's so funny, this is a tangent, sorry, but what
No,
I
so
love
here for
doing
it.
as what I love doing as an example of like just manipulating in a good way of like psychologically doing good in the ballet classroom is I just love not standing on the outsides, like in the center of the room as they're doing it. I love to go in at the bar and just like, how's that working for you? Like, what's going on here? And like, just like talk with them and just like chill
Yes.
out and just
Yes.
like be there, and like
Yes.
be with them or like maybe like I've done this before where they're doing a round de jambe exercise or something and I just go up and I'm behind them and I'm like, hey, I'm like right behind you by the way, but and they like and they like turn around and I'm like, oh, sorry, like, but what I'm trying to say is what are you thinking? What are you doing here? And like bring in some inquisitive stuff or like maybe I'll
Yeah.
get in front of them so I don't spook them and I'll do the round de jambe exercise and they're like, what's this man doing? What I don't get it.
I'm
And I'll
so
turn
here
around
for
and like,
this.
and just like
Yes.
it's not being goofy. It's not, I mean, I'm a very goofy person, but like it's not being goofy, it's not being silly, it's not doing things in an unprofessional way. You're going into the student space. You're allowing yourself to get out of your kind of like higher up here space and you're removing yourself from that
Yeah.
psychological realm and you're putting yourself into the space where the student is at so that they feel comfortable.
Yeah.
There's like a really great thing that you can do in like another tangent, but it's applicable. When if you want to start something like this and you want to start right away, the easiest thing that you can do is have a little check-in at the beginning of class.
Yeah.
Bring your students in and like come early. A lot of ballet teachers love to come in like boom, right at the moment that ballet class is supposed to start,
Heck
and
yeah.
then be like, all right, we're gonna do that, and then it becomes like, oh, okay, class has started. Come in 7 minutes early,
Yeah.
get down on the floor, do some warm-up things. If some students trickle in, move over, be like, hey, what's going on? What's a scuttlebutt? And like,
Yeah.
maybe don't say that, but talk with the students and be like, hey, how was your drive over to school today? How was your drive over to
Yeah.
this meeting? Did you hit some traffic? Is it hot outside? I haven't been outside yet, and just like those normal conversations keeping the professionalism, but like those tiny conversations where you're like the same level as them
Yeah.
and maybe you're putting your shoes on as they're putting their shoes on and you're doing some cute little warm-up thing as they're doing some cute little warm-up thing, just catching up with the students. Because I guarantee you that one small, tiny little 2-minute dealio that you do with that student is going to make so much more of a difference than if you were to give them 100 corrections.
Yes.
I guarantee it.
Yes.
Because 100 corrections puts you as the person who they're trying to work for, the
Mm-hmm.
person who knows everything, and they have to unlock that knowledge. But instead, a easy peasy way of unlocking that knowledge for them without them having to do any extrinsic motivation or any like reaching out to go get it is to get into their space, is to
Mm-hmm.
allow yourself to be humble enough to go down and say, hey, what's going on? I
Yeah.
love, there's this one show I watched the other day. Have you ever seen it? Or like, did you check out that one new song? Like, it's really great way to get to know your students. And then all of a sudden, it'll be like magic. Literally the same day, you'll see in your classroom that student is going to just be like, boom, so focused, so engaged, so like, the thought processes are going to happen a lot faster
Yes.
because
Yes.
you showed that you care about them first. It's such like the research behind it, it really like it's so foundational. There's this thing called Maslow's hierarchy, and then
Yes.
there's called Bloom's taxonomy, and which is also a hierarchy.
Oh,
But Maslow's hierarchy, I always tell people when they're coming in and learning all this, I'm like, go look up Maslow's hierarchy and then go look up Bloom's taxonomy. Because you
okay.
can't have Maslow or you can't Bloom before you Maslow. And what that means is it's kind of a play on words because you can't bloom in your conceptual understanding and become this knowledgeable person until your human needs are met
Are
first.
met. Right. Yeah, I'm familiar with Maslow's hierarchy, but then can you break down the Bloom's part? Because that's a second
Yeah.
part that I am not familiar with at all.
It's like a pyramid. You'll always find a pyramid because that's
Yep.
usually what a hierarchy looks like. But at the bottom, think about this actually. Think about something that you just learned. If you're listening or if you're watching, think of something that you just learned to do just recently. I'm trying to think of something that I just learned how to do recently.
Two.
Um, I learned how to work with Asana. I don't think you guys know what that is. Anybody
That's
else?
huge. It's like
You
a
do.
yeah, it's like a schedule like yeah,
Yeah.
workflow kind of thing,
Asana
right?
is huge. Another one is I'm actually like just like oh, let me put two things in there. So ClickUp is one that I'm learning, and Asana is another. I'm like a little bit more knowledgeable with ClickUp and then Asana. So those who don't know, it's basically just like organization online, and there's like certain little flows you can do with it to help ease the thoughts and stuff like that. So in like business people, like this is our like the way we keep things sane. So for me, the way I understand ClickUp in Bloom's taxonomy, like I just mentioned, is way higher than Asana. Because in Asana, I'm like at the very first level. I'm at remembering. I'm remembering some of the things that are inside of Asana and trying to figure out what's going on and wait, hold on a second. What's that again? Oh, that's right. I remember what that is. Okay. So then that does that, but then what's different about this? Oh, okay. So that's the bottom layer. Then understanding is the next layer after that, where it's like, I can tell that this does this and like that does this over
Oh,
here, but I don't quite understand how to like put my idea into this yet. Or like
right,
I have an event coming up. How do I apply this? What do I need to do in order to make this work for me? So that's actually the next level up then. Then it's apply. So we have understanding, oh, excuse me, remembering, understanding, and then application. So then we're applying the things that we've learned, right?
right.
And like moving into the things. And after that would be analyzing, evaluating is the next level. And then the last step is creating. So I should have started with this first because not everybody is going to click, well, no pun intended, is going to click with a ClickUp or Asana. But with food, I think everybody can cook somewhat, right? So
Right.
like when you first learn to cook or to bake or anything like that, you had to follow the recipe
Yeah.
or even watch videos over and over. I remember when I first made like vodka fusilli, I was like, wait, when do I put the vodka in? We put
Yeah.
vodka in and like was very confused about that. And so that's like remembering of like, there's the
Yeah.
recipe and then this is how you cut. Okay. And then understanding it is like, oh, I'm cutting because if I cut in like julienne, then I'm going to get a very specific taste out of it than if I were to cut like minced.
Right.
You're going to get more flavor in that way than in the julienne way. So then applying it would be like, okay, I did it in this recipe. I wonder if it goes into this recipe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
And then from
yes.
there, it's analyzing it. Well, why do we cut it so that these two recipes are very similar? Oh, it's because they have the same flavor profile. I now understand why it's that way, and I'm applying it in that way. And there's analytical thinking. And then you can evaluate that too of like, okay, if that's the same flavor profile, I wonder if I applied it into this situation, if it would come up with the same thing. Oh, it didn't quite do the same thing. Why is that? There's the evaluation. And
Yeah.
then there's the creation of like, well, let's take what I learned and then let me just make a brand new recipe. Boom, 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 boom. So
Uh,
that's Bloom's taxonomy.
okay. I love it. I think I don't know. As I was hearing you talk, I was like, oh, I think I'm intrinsically doing this without really recognizing it. And now I'm gonna
Yep.
go like into a bit of a rabbit hole deep dive because I'm
Yep.
very excited about being about that. And I think too that is a not necessarily to me because unbeknownst to me, I just moved into that way of teaching, but like it makes so much sense to me to try to get students to start critical thinking, or I don't even want to say critical, but I creatively thinking like that with that taxonomy. Because I think I don't know. I think it's good, and I think it. I
Oh
again
yeah.
I think they literally bloom faster. They figure out how to make the movement work for their body as opposed to when you start to creatively think like that, you start to understand the technique and you put it on yourself and you make it work for like the snowflake that you've been given as opposed to like I
Hmm.
have to fit into this cookie cutter sort of
Yep.
thing. It's a different way of approaching the material and I think it's so obviously I think it's the right way to do it, but like
Well, yeah, if there's anybody out there that is like, I don't know about this, man, then like what I would test you to do, I challenge you with this. Go into your next class and then try to determine if you have students at various levels. Go in there and then say like, all right, guys, we're gonna do a tour jeté, or some people call it entrecolisé. So we're gonna do that today, and then watch and see who understands immediately. Okay,
Right.
great. They've heard it before. They're probably at that like understanding level, but then like go and teach it and then watch again and see who can do it immediately. Oh, okay. They're higher up on that level then.
Right.
So it's not like this isn't just something that's like you mentioned before. It's not a buzzword. This is literally like this is how we learn as humans. This
Yeah.
is research from the 70s. And
Yeah.
like it's coming, it has been so tested and true that
Yeah.
we still use it today. And it's so yeah, go challenge yourself to do that. Like find yourself in the classroom and then just observe one day and then watch. Give something that they may not have ever had. But if you are teaching a mixed level class, which let's be honest, most people do,
Always.
then go and observe that. Go and see. And then in your brain or write it out on a piece of paper. Just be transparent with your students because they're probably going to freak out and like, why are they writing on a paper? But just be like, I'm just doing something for me, guys. It's not for you. Like, look at it's. I'm just putting your names on here. Who's gonna get a role? Just kidding. Um,
Yeah.
all that stuff. But like, write down on a piece of paper. Oh yeah, Sally didn't quite understand even what tourgitate was when I first said
Right.
it. She's probably lower on that scale, and
Yeah.
then that's how you kind of work with it because it's like if you understand this, if you have all this stuff in your like back pocket, it's almost like you have this magic. And
Yes.
when you walk into a classroom,
Yes.
if you have ever been to a doctor, a physical therapist, or anything like that, where you're like, I have this pain in my shoulder and I'm doing this thing, and then like they treat you, and then after you're like, oh, I'm human again. That's what this is. You know,
Yeah.
it's that's the point of using evidence-based stuff is because you can create magic in your studio and it'll feel like magic when it happens and
Yeah.
you'll feel like, I don't know, you'll be like on cloud nine when it happens too.
And so are the students. I find like
Yeah.
as soon as that clicks with the students, like especially as they, well, honestly, at any age, as soon as they realize they can do something, it like reignites that fire and they're just even more passionate and more hungry when something's sort of been proven to them and then they do it. And I'm like, see, remember how I told you you could do it? And then we had a little fight and then you just tried it and then it worked. Like it's just such proof to them. And I think that like in studio proof is also so important to keep them engaged in that sort of type of learning to be like, yeah, it does work. Like having that proof. I could truly nerd out. And when you were like, I'm not going to get nerdy. And I was like, I am the gal to get nerdy about this with for sure because I adore it. But I keep saying this is a lightning round. It's not because we just like to chat. But I'm going to switch up some of the questions today because I know you're ballet centric, and I was like, oh, there's some questions that I like to ask. I guess my lightning round is actually based off of I always ask an attendance question at the
Oh yeah.
beginning of my class, which I got from my sister-in-law who teaches high school, and so it'll be really fun. So with little guys, it's like favorite ice cream, or like I posted, I asked the kids their comfort TV show watch because I like that also too tells me a little bit about their personality and how I can
Oh, for
like
sure.
work with them. I'm like, oh, Grey's Anatomy, we like to cry. All right, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, besties. Okay, so let's start with lightning round. Do you personally, for your body and your training, do you have a favorite bar exercise to do? What is it and why?
Ron de Jam. And yeah, I don't know. A lot of people hate it. Yeah, okay, great. Let's go.
Ronde en fondue, actually, to be
Oh,
totally
that
honest.
one's fun. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. The kids hate it. Tell me why you love it. Oh, I'm so, see, I knew.
I love Ron de Jam because from a nerdy standpoint, it literally sums up everything that you do at bar. It it like it has tendu in it. If you incorporate it on there, it has the dégagé or jeté in there, and then forces you to know where your weight is and where your center of gravity is, and it really it's such a great exercise because it incorporates the least amount of turnout engagement and then the most amount of turnout engagement. Like it's just phenomenal. If you use it and incorporate on layer, then you're using a lot more of that like hip flexors and
Yeah, yeah. I'm not going to.
the knee extensors and all those good things
Mm-hmm.
too. I in my class I incorporate I don't do adagio at bar.
Yeah.
And that is strategically because I don't got time for that, but
Yeah, for
also
sure.
because students, no matter what, they'll always just grab the bar. And so I'm like, I'd rather not do a complex adagio at bar
Yep.
and rather just do something in rondejams, sneak in my little adagio practice in there, and then
100%.
call it good.
Yeah.
So that's why I really love rondejam. I think it's so phenomenal and such a just an enjoyable thing. I also am like all legs. I'm like a frog, so I look like
Gotcha.
one. So it's just like it's very easy for me to move my legs around like that. So
Right.
yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'm not on board with the on layer. Like that will make me cry. But I also I see where and from like a time crunch, I'm like, I get it. And I would also
Yeah.
do the same thing. Oh, is okay, this can run the gamut. It does not have to be like a classical ballet song. But I was curious, is there a song or a piece of music that always like gets you hyped? Like that no matter like if you could be having a rough rehearsal day or what have you, and you hear this song and you're just like, everything's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be fine.
Oh, that's a hard one. I really love music. So, um, if it was a Nutcracker always gets me going, but like um I'm trying to think of something that's like good. So I listen to metal, and a lot of people don't. Yeah, it's kind of out of left field.
I love
Um,
it. That's incredible.
so I listen. I have a very wide range of listening categories. So I will listen to like favorite rapper is Kendrick Lamar.
KK.
I love. Yep, I love Kendrick. I love me some. I'm a Swiftie, and so it's I'm not afraid to say it.
Kids must
Um,
love you
yeah, they
for
do. I have
that, for
actually
sure.
in my academic class, we have a Swifty Squad club. So yeah, I'm the host, or I don't do anything. I just sit there and I'm like, yes, let's go, and like just do my thing. But
I love it.
um, yeah. Anyways, but yeah, I listen to a bunch of different things. I really enjoy folk Americana. That's more my vibe of like what I listen to constantly.
Yeah, yeah.
Like Fleet Foxes.
This all tracks. Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes
I mean,
sense.
just look at me.
I
But
wasn't making a judge. I was just like, oh yes, this seems right. More than the metal
people
information.
people are listening right now are like, what does he have? Like a handlebar mustache or something? Um, as far as metal goes, like I really enjoy really good like thrashy stuff. Like I
Right.
enjoy getting hyped up. And if
Yes.
I am to get hyped up, it's probably going to be something with like involving metal. So
Okay.
um a song that I always enjoy. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, so this is one if it comes on, I'm ready. I'm dancing. Like, let's go. It's called Assistant to the Regional Manager, and
Get out. That's so
it is
funny.
like an office thing, but it's called Assistant to the Regional Manager, and it's by The Devil Wears Prada, and which is not the movie, it's a
Right.
band. But
Okay.
I always say I love The Devil Wears Prada, and they're like, "Oh, I know, she was really great in that." I'm like, "Yes, but." Yeah, it's a great song. So, if you guys want to go listen, just don't turn it up really high because it starts like really quickly and it's pretty hard. But
It's tough.
yeah, I'll put that on
Incredible.
sometimes if I'm having a bad day. And my
Yeah.
students know too, like if they walk into the studio and metal is playing, then like they're like, okay, Mr. Crumley is definitely going and he needs a
We
little
just need to give him some space until this song is done. I like this question. What is I have to find a better word. What is something that wasn't what is the ugliest thing you've learned about yourself through dance?
ugliest thing I've learned about myself.
Uh-huh. Like what's the thing where you were like, "Oh, yuck."
She's not cute, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's like a good vague question. Let's put some specificity in there. Is there something specific that we're looking for?
I guess maybe something ugly that you learned about your personality that made you question like, am I a good like I'm a real pick me girl. Uh and I also learned that I was like I really had to overcome my like competitiveness. Like I
Oh, I
wanted to
see.
be friends with everybody, but I was also like I need to be better than everybody. Like I need to be loved and I need to be liked, and that's been a real and like I like dance really uncovered that for me. And so
Yeah.
that's like a constant battle of like, no, I'm actually kind and I am really happy for you. I just also wish it happened for me. So I'm curious to know. Like that's what I'm always like. I'm like, what's the little sort of like gross little like pocket bit of
That's
yourself
so funny.
from that
Yeah.
and maybe it didn't, I don't know. I'm
I mean,
projecting. Clearly, I'm like projecting on all my
but
guests.
I love it. It's fantastic. We all have it.
Uh huh.
even me. I mean, I'm very sassy in my classes, and like I
Oh,
don't. I mean, sometimes it's ugly, and then like I'll be like, "Ooh, sorry guys, that was very traditional. I apologize for that."
right.
And like I'll be kind of like, did you mean to do that? Like it's pretty funny. One of these days I'll actually have to post some of the like the raw moments that I have
I love
just to
it.
like make me more human. But
Yeah.
there's I'm trying to think of there's this one moment that love when I have my advanced dancers because they're like 17, 18 and they thrive off of that too. And yes, there's a time and place, but like with these dancers, like last year was the first year that I think it's the first year. It might have been the second year that I had a cohort that went for like all 6 years with me. So they were like seventh graders and then they ended out as seniors.
Yeah.
And so with them, I was really close to them,
Right.
especially since it was like my first time teaching at that school. And like I grew with them and they saw me grow too. So I don't think I'll ever have a cohort like that again.
Yeah.
So they're very special and like dear to my heart. But with them, I definitely was like sassy or
But when
there are
you
some
work
things
with a
that I
group
can
of kids
say.
like that, your realness really comes through.
Oh, for sure.
And then you go, ooh, like that one was ooh.
Yeah.
And then I bring like, oh, sorry, I'm gonna be real Canadian for a hot second. Then I like the next week I'll be like, hey guys, I'm so sorry, but last week I brought Timbits as an apology, like donut holes. Like I'm like that was too far. I'm really
Just
sorry.
bring cookies. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Like this
Okay.
has been
I won't pressure you about that.
I'm like, but I'm trying to think of like a sassy remark that I've said because it's actually like I think I'm really funny. Okay,
If
I'll be
you're
like passive aggressive for
yes,
sure. I think the
yeah,
ugliest side of me is when my
for sure.
passive aggression comes out. Um, but I won't do it to the extent of like bad, like super bad.
Yeah.
I'll, and I know when to stop, but like there'll be moments where I'll do something like in class or like I'll see that they did the same mistake they did last week. And I'm like, guys, what did we learn last week? And like, oh, like maybe something about like this, right? That's what we learned, right? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. So why am I not seeing it?
Cool, cool, cool. Yeah.
And like, weird. And then I'll move on to the next thing. It's just like I love doing that, and
Yeah.
it fuels me because it's just so much fun to like with teenagers. I won't do it
Yes.
with like youngsters or like anybody
Yes.
who's like less than 15 years old. Like I
Yeah.
won't do that because they'll see it as like anger or like, whatever. But if
Totally.
you build that, rapport with them and you have a relationship with
Yeah.
them, it then becomes something that like actually fuels them too.
Yes.
And the
Yeah.
moment that there's actually a saying that like that you've created a safe space when the kids are acting absolutely weird around you or they feel like they can do it back to you because then
Yeah.
you're like, oh, okay. And then you can start putting up the boundaries and be like,
Yes.
okay, that was
Yeah.
cute, good job, good job, never do it again.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just like there are those moments, but you've created a good space because they feel comfortable enough to be able to do XYZ, and that's a fine line. Like, yes, we can talk about that, but
Yeah.
I think like give me some grace so you guys understand.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. I always used to joke. I was like, why do I get all the weirdos in my class? Like I'd say to the group, and then I'm like, oh, like sees like. I'm like, got it, got it. We're all in this together. What is your coffee order?
I'm a black coffee drinker. Yeah, I just
Okay.
drink straight black coffee, but I love
This goes
so
along with the metal. This okay, we
it
got this.
really does,
Metal and
yeah.
black coffee.
Yeah, so I really enjoy me a good old cup of Joe.
Nice. I love it. Okay, great.
Literally like
I was like, oh, we got to start asking these dancers about our coffee orders. I'm like, this is very like the dance teacher with their coffee.
yep.
I was like, we got to put this in. The last thing, this has been so beautiful and like so great. And I'm just like, I mean, I knew I would love every minute of it. Um, but just to leave anyone who's listening, if you could give one piece of advice, let's maybe make it to dance educators, because we've been talking a lot about sort of like best practice and how to change the culture of your studio or how you work with your students. If you could give dance educators one piece of advice, what do you want to leave them with?
Hmm. Probably something along the lines of remember your why. Like not to sound like Simon Sinek, but like really like remember your why.
Yeah.
why are you doing this? Why do you step foot in the studio for money? But like more than that, like why are you doing what you're doing? Because it really, if you can boil down to your center and to the reason why you're there in the first place and the reason why you even chose to become a dance teacher in the first place, there's a moment that you can find your humanity. And there's that moment, even on the bad days. And I have my bad days where I'm like, you guys are like, I cannot teach you right now because I am overwhelmed and I had a bad day. I dealt with teenagers all day long and like I can't, and but like if you go back to that why and you understand that these humans inside of her just want to feel loved, that is what's going to like give you the momentum and just go with it. Don't do everything you can to prevent that gloss and that glaze to go over your eyes and your journey because the moment you do that is the moment you stop becoming human and is the moment that you will relinquish what makes you amazing as a human. We're not meant to be here and to just go through the motions. We're meant to be here and to make an impact and to love on each other and to build community and to spread kindness and love and just gentility and all that good stuff and to bring out the best in one another. And it goes back to like what I was saying earlier, why the reason why I left dancing professionally is because it's it wasn't fueling me and it wasn't that what I thought it was going to be. So go back to that why, go back to your center. And even if it takes 3 years, like it took me, every bit of moment is worth it. Even the moments where you're like, I, it's not worth it, or whatever it is. Believe me, it is. Like life is so good. Look around, look outside, go look at your surroundings. Every little tiny bit of thing that is on this earth was made for you and made for your enjoyment. So go and know that that is such a good thing for you to do too, is spread that kind of love for the people who are just trying to do that.
Oh, you guys. Oh, I'm like, I'm gonna re-listen. I'm gonna listen to that on a bad day. I'm gonna be like, I just
I know,
need
right?
Austin's little pep talk in my ear. I need it. That's so lovely.
Send it to me.
Um,
I gotta hear it for myself sometimes.
yeah, I know, right? And I think too, if you are a dance educator and you're not following Austin on Instagram, please go do that. Austin, can I will leave the information in the show notes below, but where can people find you if they want to connect with you?
Instagram is my main place. I'm at the Ballet Educator. And you can find me there. I am branching out to YouTube and TikTok and,
Fun.
trying to do all the fun stuff. But
Yeah.
even if you want to reach out via email, I can even give you, actually, I think you have my email. So you can reach
Yeah,
out via
if you're
email.
okay with us sharing that, we can maybe put that also in the show notes. But like I said, Austin's social media is such an incredible resource, and also one that like he's always looking to engage with people. So you can crowdsource a lot of ideas just in the comments, and you're doing such a beautiful job of like building this community. And even though like we are in the same time zone, which was like so lovely for setting this up. I can't like trying to deal with folks who like live in Toronto. I'm like, I cannot. I'm like,
Yeah,
but
right.
the fact that we're both on the West Coast, I was like, yes, this is great. So yeah, it's like and that's the great thing about social media is that we get to like connect with folks who don't necessarily live close to us. And I think that's something that's really lovely. It's a nice side of social media, actually, to be honest. It's
Yeah.
like really lovely. Thank you so much for your time, Austin. I could truly, clearly, I'm like, oh, this is like, these are my people. And I'm just so grateful that you agreed to come on the show. And yeah, thanks for keeping on spreading this much needed message of like positivity and change within dance culture. Love it.
Oh yeah, I'm happy to do it. And, I'm always here for it too. So if you guys ever want to reach out or anything like that, I'm always willing to talk and chat and good things. So thank you for having me. It's
Thank
been
you.
honestly fun. We could probably continue talking for an eternity.
I know everyone who I've reached out to, they're like, "Oh, I have so many things to talk about." I'm like, "Don't worry, we're gonna book you again." Like like I'm gonna have recurring folks because it's just there's so much to discuss in terms of like the larger dance community and things that I want to talk about with kindness and compassion and curiosity, as opposed to just letting it be the same old, same old. So yeah, this has been
Right.
incredible. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Dancing Through It. Connect with the Dancing Through community over on Instagram and follow me at Leslie Cooney. Again, thank you so much. Like this, honestly, like fangirled so hard. It meant so, I'm not going to get emotional. It meant so much to me. And I just really appreciate it.
So the more that we can spread the word and the love and all that good stuff in the industry, the better
I
the world
agree.
will be, but like the
Yeah,
better we'll find ourselves too. So
for sure.
I appreciate you reaching out and whatnot. It meant the world to me too.
Oh, thank you.